Hey, fourth graders. On to a whole new thing today. We're going to move on to a topic for the next several days called multiplicative comparisons. Big fancy name for not a particularly complicated situation, but definitely one I want to talk you through how to do a bunch of situations with. So, today we're going to do multiplicative comparisons involving an unknown product. And so mark your page. When you have done so, mark your page with your pencil, close your notebook up, just think, and you can unpause when you're ready. All right. So I want to think way back to when you first learned to multiply, and I want to talk about kind of thinking about one of the things you learned that like a basic multiplication problem even means. And some ways I can interpret this with words, I'm going to type it so I don't take forever, is if I think about this, 5 times 3 equals 15. This means two things, if you want to think of it this way. One is that 15 is 5 times as much as 3. And similarly, it also means that 15 is 3 times as much as 5. We don't often talk about it in those terms all the time anymore, but that's kind of one of the things, like from way back when multiplication started, that we thought about. So like 15 is 5 times as much as 3, and it's 3 times as much as 5. So this topic for today, multiplicative comparisons, as much as this is what indicates a comparison to me. Remember, comparison, a lot of time we're talking about more or less or as many as, things like that. So we're kind of comparing the value of 15 to 5 or 15 to 3. So this is the comparison part. We're comparing the value. And multiplicative, which means multiplication, we're doing so with multiplication. We're saying we're comparing them by talking about how many times greater one thing is or another. So that's where the term multiplicative comparison comes from. Just want to throw you back to some basics before we solve some. So we're going to talk about ones today where the product is unknown. If you want to remember back, I guess I'm going to go back to my Connect. Some vocabulary you want to know. Multiplication problems, we usually say that you have a factor times a factor equals a product. So we're going to talk about multiplicative comparisons today where this is not known and we have to figure it out. All right, let's look at one together. So a simple little situation. A blue scarf costs $3 and a red scarf costs 6 times as much. How much does the red scarf cost? So not a real hard situation to understand. So I wanted to take this chance to show you how to set these up so that future ones aren't too hard either. So when we set up a multiplicative comparison, especially on days where the situation's a little tougher than today, we're going to set up our relationship before we set up many of our numbers. So in this case, what I really am finding out is that a red scarf is more expensive than the blue scarf. So it costs 6 times as much. So when I see 6 times as much, I'm thinking multiplication. Thinking multiplication by 6. And as much is kind of a clue that I'm making a comparison. I'm not going to write all that down. Okay? So what I see in this situation, I'm going to use letters. I'm going to call my blue scarf B. And I'm going to call my red scarf R. And so while you could probably solve this without setting it up this way, I still want to do this. I want to say this situation is telling me that a blue scarf is 6 times more expensive. So the blue scarf times 6 is going to tell me the cost of the red scarf. So just want to even set it up like that before I solve it. Blue scarf times 6 equals red scarf. The red scarf is 6 times more than the blue blue scarf. Now the blue scarf, I know the value of the blue scarf. I know the blue scarf is $3. So I know that 3 times 6 equals the cost of the red scarf. So this is why I said in today's we're going to have an unknown product. So in this situation, the question's asking me for the product of 3 times 6, or the blue scarf times 6, which of course is 18. So I know in this case that R, or the cost of the red scarf, is $18. That's my product. So the math is pretty simple on a problem like this, but I want to make sure you learn how this whole setup works and you get okay using the B and the R to represent things in the situation. Let's do one together. Open your notebook up. Pause now and copy down my question. And after you have the question written down, you can unpause and you can work it out on your own, or you can work it out with me and check either way. But first of all, at least pause and write the question down. All right, so we've got Kyle. We're already told we're going to use him with K. He slept 4 times as long as Stephanie, who we're going to talk about with S, when he took his nap. So Kyle slept 4 times 4 as long as Stephanie when he took his nap. Stephanie slept for 15 minutes. Write an equation that could be used to show how long Kyle slept. So Stephanie slept for 15 minutes, and we know Kyle slept longer than Stephanie did, 4 times as long. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set this up. I'm going to say that I know that Stephanie, her nap, times 4 equals Kyle's nap. I'm going to set that up without my numbers first. Now I do know the value of Stephanie's nap. I know how long her nap was. I'm going to go ahead and change Stephanie's nap to 15. And I'm going to use that to find Kyle. So in this situation, again, I have an unknown product. So I know how many times longer. I know Stephanie's nap, and so I'm going to use that to find my unknown product. So now I'm all ready to do the math and just figure it out. 15 times 4 is going to be Kyle's nap. Got a couple strategies we know to figure that out. I can do partial products, 15 times 4. My first partial product would be 4 times 5 is 20. 20 is 4 times 5. And then my second partial product would be 4 times 10. 4 times 10 is 40. And so I'm going to find out that Kyle's nap was 60 minutes. If you prefer area models, you can also do your area model. You can do 15 minutes times 4 minutes, or times 4, not times 4 minutes. And 4 times 10 is 40. 4 times 5 is 20. And I can still tell that I'm going to have a 60-minute nap. So whichever multiplication strategy you prefer doesn't matter. What's important is we find out that Kyle's nap is 60 minutes. So real important. Just as important as being able to do the multiplication in a situation like this is being able to set it up as a multiplicative comparison. So make sure you feel good about this one, and make sure you feel good about the I do. If you need to go back and look and listen to either again, that is fine. But once you feel like you have a pretty good handle on these and can set them up and solve them, you're done for the night. And we'll do a couple more for practice tomorrow. See you then.